Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming on stage our keynote speaker and guest of honor, Dr. Dilip P. Bhanushali, National President, Indian Medical Association, to share his thoughts with us on this wonderful evening. Can we please welcome him with a huge round of applause?
Namaskar. Honorable Governor of Telangana, Dr. Vishnu Verma ji, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I deem it a proud privilege and honor to be here to share my thoughts regarding the problem faced by the medical fraternity. But the topic which I have selected was today was the challenges of medical fraternity and IMA's role. As you know, IMA is the biggest body, not only in India, but throughout the world. More than 4 lakh members with 32 states and 1,800 branches throughout India. This is the biggest IMA body, the biggest doctors' body, which has, of course, for the last 10 years, has some say in government politics, but not as strong as American Medical Association or British Medical Association. Now, as a modern medicine fraternity, what are the objectives of IMA? To promote and advance medical and allied sciences and all their different branches, and to promote the importance of public health and medical education in India. The policies made by the government in medical education is basically governed by the NMC, but IMA has definitely a role in this. Now, to maintain the honor and dignity and to uphold the interest of medical profession and to promote cooperation among members thereof. With this vast network, IMA has been promulgating medical knowledge to its members throughout the country. And to work for this abolition of this compromisation in the medical education, medical sciences and registration in the country, and thus to achieve equality among all the members of his profession. Now, what are these activities? IMA has been participating in all the national programs. It started the polio eradication, TB elimination. Our Honorable Prime Minister's motto is to eradicate TB by 2032 and TB-free India. On that direction, IMA has been cooperating with 2-3 NGOs throughout the country, and we are working on it for this early detection of TB, treatment of TB, treatment of drug-resistant TBs, and in that direction, a lot of work has been done to educate and to see that TB is eliminated throughout India. Of course, people have seen what was doctors' roles in COVID-19. The amount of sacrifice doctors throughout India is commendable in sense we lost almost 2,000 doctors during COVID-19. I think people should understand the sacrifice doctors have given during 19 was of course well appreciated throughout by the government and the public. IMA has a very prestigious project called Aao Gaon Chale. And under this, we have adopted almost 1,800 villages throughout the country, where we give not only medical consultation, we see about the sanitation, the well-being of the public there, the preventive programs. So Aao Gaon Chale has been a very prestigious and flagship program of IMA. Blood banks. We have almost throughout the country, length and breadth, IMA is running blood banks on no profit basis, and this has helped the poor patient vastly. Of course, medical camps, as everybody is aware, we do throughout length and breadth of medical camps throughout the country. As I said, TB eradication is the biggest project. We have been conducting our TB eradication program. COVID-19, I told. Aavgaon Chale, blood banks, medical camps. Now, what are the challenges? Innumerable challenges. Doctors have been the most targeted community in our country. Violence has been there for so long, and recently it has increased, especially if you have seen the Arjikar Kolkata case, which has brought the limelight throughout the country. The horrific instance, the violence which occurred there, it not only created a vast moment of sympathy towards doctors, it came through our heart. The public in general came out on the street and supported the doctors. Of course, when IMA took this challenge and when we went for strike for one day, Honorable Supreme Court took a suo motu case on this. They formed a committee. The committee gave the report. And unfortunately, nothing much has been done. And that case is still lingering. I don't know how many we get the justice there. Consumer Protection Act. Ladies and gentlemen, Consumer Protection Act, doctors have been facing for almost 3 decades now. We went to the government to explain why doctors should be under contempt when advocates and lawyers are not under contempt. This matter went to the Supreme Court and they threw out a petition. They said you can't exempt it. So we were under the gambit of Consumer Protection Act. And for that, what has happened is patients are suffering. Doctors have gone into what you call, we have been forced to write unnecessary investigations because now the instances of litigation against doctors has increased. So on the safer side, doctors also have become self-defensive. So Consumer Protection Act, we have been fighting. In fact, Supreme Court didn't listen to us, and we are once again going for the 5-bench at the Supreme Court to fight this Consumer Protection Act. Clinical Establishment Act. India, where almost 80% of our medical thing is been catered by the private sector in a small nursing homes. 15 to 20 bed, 50 bed nursing home, 100 bed nursing homes throughout the length and breadth. And the rules the government is putting now is so horrendous that majority of the hospitals are closing up. The other day I met the Honorable Health Minister of Telangana, and we requested him that at least 20 to 50 bed hospitals should be exempted from this Clinical Establishment Act. There are a few states in India like Bihar, Rajasthan, Haryana, of course Karnataka also. They are exempted 50-bedded hospital from this act. Mixopathy. Friends, we have seen mixopathy in all sense, Ayurveda, homeopathy, Siddha, you name it. All these branches of medicine, they don't practice what they have learnt. In sense, majority of these people, they practice and they write allopathic medicines. We went to the government and said, we are not against any pathy. We are not against Ayurveda. Ayurveda is there for last thousands of years to India. Let that be encouraged. Let Ayurveda have their own curriculum, their own activities. But why mix Ayurveda, homeopathy into our allopathy? There also we've been fighting with the government about this. But government is, somebody said here that Ayusha, government is pushing Ayusha, and then they want training of 1.5 years to train homeopathic and Ayurvedic doctors to conduct 50 surgeries. I don't know how I'm going to, and what will the fate of our patients. So we are definitely against mixopathy. Quackery. Quackery is the biggest hazard throughout the length and breadth of our country. The amount of antibiotics And especially what has happened is antimicrobial resistance has gone so much. Thanks to this quackery, they write third generation antibiotics, steroids, without knowing the side effects, without knowing the indications. This has become such a big maniac. Of course, IMA doesn't have a teeth to do anything about it. This rests upon the state councils to do. And of course, Telangana Medical Council is doing a wonderful job. In last almost 4 or 5 months, they have identified almost 150 quacks throughout the length of Telangana. Of course, they identify and the police has to take action against them. IMA doesn't have much say in this, so Medical Council has to take care of this. GST. The day I took charge in January, the first meeting I had with the Commissioner of GST in Delhi, I said, the Commissioner was of course very nice to us in sense, we told him that please remove GST or reduce GST on common drugs. 18% of the population of India has diabetes, so is hypertension. The common ailments, remove the GST on these drugs. He was kind enough, this matter was referred to the council. We went to the council. Council said, identify the drugs. We gave them the list of drugs, especially for hypertension, diabetes, cancer drugs, cancer equipments, and government is seriously thinking of abolishing GST on that. Health budget. I think he said about the health budget is 1.8% of the GDP. What he had asked for was 5%. 1.8% of GDP is a meager amount spent on the health policy. So that has to be increased. We have written to the finance minister about this. Violence, I told, violence has been there throughout the length and breadth of the country. Consumer Protection Act, Clinical Establishment Act, Mixopathy, quackery, GST, health budget. Well, ladies and gentlemen, these are the innumerable challenges for the doctors have been facing. And I was here a few minutes back, and some of our doctors were saying about this ORS. On the counter, people are selling ORS, and what they are selling is absolutely a horrendous product, where the sugar content is 100 times more what has been recommended. This in turn is causing harm to the patients. They are getting more vomiting, more diarrheas, and it has become such a maniac. I think the Foxy people and the pediatric people have gone to the government. They have recommended that this should be stopped. Labeling on the ORS has to be strictly maintained. What we say is electrolytes, what we give, has been recommended by WHO, has to be followed. This matter has been taken very seriously, and I'm sure government will act on this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here as the president of IMA to bring what doctors have been facing. In spite of all this, what we have been recommending our members, what we are telling our members is, doctors should continue what they are trained for. With same sympathy, with same empathy. Empathy and sympathy should go together. We should continue to serve our society, our state, our country. Long live IMA. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.